All right, good afternoon. Welcome to the Athens-Clarke County Board of Elections and Voter Registration. This is a special called meeting. Date is October 29th. The time is 4:36 in the afternoon. First item on the agenda is to adopt it. Chair entertains a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Okay, motion, Mr. Shirley, second, Ms. Till. Is that fine? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Agenda is adopted. Next item is public comment. Any members of the public wish to make comment? Not appearing, okay. Next item and only item on the agenda is update on November 24 general election. So the floor is open for any board members that have any questions or wish to report out some particular item about the ongoing early voting. And if there's nothing, then recognize the director for a quick little update and we'll go from there.
Sure.
Any board members, comments, questions?
Well, I'll wait till the director's update.
Okay.
After she's finished, probably, what Adam was asking about the ballot and how does the process work that, I voted or I didn't vote.
I'll just say at the outset, reporting about how the election's going. I was just sharing before we went live. The library was awesome on Saturday. I'm sure all the places have been awesome, but that's been my experience. It was great. They had us in. I think they had a big rush right before we got there. They had gotten them all through. It was great. There were 85,000 machines in there, and just with people. It was wonderful. It was wonderful. So
Great. All right, let's hear it.
All right, so I'll talk about the documents that you have first, if I may. I've provided you a daily statistical report of advanced voting. The first week of advanced voting, we voted 7,345 voters, only to have those to be conducted or advanced voting to be conducted at Linden House. On week 2, we added Saturday voting at 3 additional locations to give us a total of 11,381 for week 2. And then already on week 3, we have 5,218 voters who have cast ballots, and that was at the close of yesterday, giving us a total of 23,944 voters who have cast ballots in advanced voting. That number matches what we did almost. We've exceeded what we did in advanced voting in 2020. As far as advanced voting is concerned, but just to give you a little glimpse of where we come from. In 2020, we had 23,811 voters who had cast ballots during advanced voting. But 18,674 had cast ballots through absentee. So that means about 14,000 more voters or so this week. When we add in the possibility of a little over 4,000 absentee ballots that we should receive back, will get us the numbers that we had in 2020, which was 42,000, total 42,485. I provided you also with what I refer to as electors by race, but I've taken that document and taken the number of eligible voters, not the active numbers, but the eligible voters, and gave you the total number of votes that have been cast. And cast meaning is as in advanced voting and absentee ballots that have been returned by precinct, and showing the total number of remaining voters that could possibly cast ballots. And it looks like we've had 20, like I stated earlier, a total of 26,091. That gives the total of absentee ballots that we've received, ready for tabulation, along with the advanced voting. As of last night, there's 60,000 voters, a little over 60,000 who could possibly cast ballots. If we go by our eligible number, we usually use our active numbers when we get demographics in our turnouts. Also have the daily statistical report that we post on our website. And these numbers are at close of business yesterday. We issued 4,407 absentee ballots. We have received, as of last night, 2,416 of those ballots. That's a little over 50% of what we've issued. And then again, the total advance, 23,944. If we were gonna have the election today, we would have 26,360 voters who have cast ballots. And I'd say we're headed in a good direction. I do encourage voters to get out and vote early, and for the reason that life happens. I'll just say that. I've received 2 emails, I can definitely say, that were urgent, and voters who things happened in the past couple days that will not allow them to receive it, to even vote. We do have some calls for hospitals. I do have one that has requested a ballot to be delivered to a hospital in Atlanta. And I've asked that they have a family member to come to the office. We would deputize them, and they can deliver the ballot to their loved one and bring it back. And there are forms for that deputization. Other than that, that's all I have as far as the reports that I have here. To go back to the last week era of the second ballots that were issued to over 725 voters. If you like, I can give you a.
Just real brief,
Okay.
little summary, would be great.
Okay, so one particular day, October the 8th, there was an upload of 725 voters that had been issued that issue date. And the following day, that same group of $725 with 25 workers, voters, were also added to the upload for October the 9th. So that meant that they would receive an additional ballot. I did not know what had happened because we started to get calls. So it didn't alarm me until we started to get more and more calls. And we just simply instructed the voters, if you receive 2 ballots, you only will get to vote one, and whichever ballot we receive first will be the one that will be counted. So to go through the process, we receive an absentee ballot request. The application is searched through Jarvis, and we identify the voter if they're registered to vote or not. We issue the ballot through the system by saying that we received this application and we're going to issue the ballot on this day, which is the day that you're actually entering the data. Then the report is downloaded at the end of the day, and then the report is sent to our ballot builder, our ballot vendor, and then they create the ballot packets. Ballots are assigned to voters themselves. So when the application comes, we verify 3 things. Again, one, if they're registered to vote, what their precinct is, what their district combo is, but we also verify their information that they included on the application. So the application requires a driver's license or a voter or ID, a Georgia ID. And if not, it will be the last 4 of the social security number. That is verified through the application. And when the absentee ballot comes back, we verify that information and then give the person credit for voting, which does not allow them to vote in any other part of that election, meaning they can't vote early unless they relinquish their absentee ballot, and then they can vote in person or on election day. And then, of course, so I have a process that we will check off every person's name first that we've issued a ballot to. When that person's name is checked off, their ballot will be enclosed in a bag that will come over to be tabulated. We also have a list of those 725 plus voters that when we receive their ballot back, we're checking that off. There's going to be one check to check off. And then there are notes that if they return the second ballot, I will make note that the ballot was returned and was canceled, the second ballot. Then I have a numbered list that I will create once that we've received those second ballots. These ballots are labeled canceled ballot number 2. And there will be a numbered list that will go inside the box of these ballots that will be retained for 2 years.
Great. Thank you. Did that answer the question you had
It did.
previous? Okay, wonderful. How about you?
I'm satisfied that from the discussion that we've had, I mean, I know we're all disappointed in what happened. None of us more so than Director Sosby, but I'm satisfied that the processes are already in place, the laws already allowed for this, the eventuality of this to happen, and so it sounds to me like we've buttoned up all the possible problems that could come out from this. So it's unfortunate, but I'm relieved, and that's what.
Yes. And we've informed the voters, through express mail. 700, we got the number, went out on Saturday through Federal Express, and then there were about 11, I believe, that went out US mail on yesterday.
Yeah, this probably does not matter, but let's, do you keep track of whether the voter has sent in the ballot number 1 or the ballot number 2, the second one they received?
We'll track and note that the second ballot came in, but that's it. But once that first ballot comes in, the system will not allow
Well,
it.
I understand that part,
Yeah,
but there is no way to know whether they're returning ballot number 1 or the ballot
No.
number 2.
it's
Yeah,
not.
actually, it doesn't matter. You know, we had actually gone through the process about a year ago, so I was never concerned about anyone voting twice. But later on, I do have a question for our attorneys with regards to the letter we have sent out. But go ahead and finish this round of questioning.
Yeah, just want to reiterate the fact that we're human and mistakes happen and we dealt with it and we moved on and I think we're in a good place. I'm not too concerned. Sounds like you have a good process in place to deal with it. To the comment Hank just made, just follow up on that again. There's no way to tell if this one is the second one or this one is the second one because they're at that point anonymous, right?
Yeah, and anonymous, yes.
Right.
One other quick question on the numbers. Are you feeling like we are getting less absentee ballot requests by mail this
Yes,
year?
sir. From 2020, absolutely. Yeah, so it was a pandemic and it was encouraged. And
Yeah.
So.
But also, I think, back then, did we have to submit along with the ballot a copy of your driver's license and so forth?
No, in 2020, it was a signature verification.
That's right. So
Then Senate
that's,
Bill 202.
yes,
Yes,
and I
it
think
is.
that's annoying for some people to be able to do that.
We're doing it. We're doing it.
Do either of you have any comments on this topic?
I'm good.
Okay, Hank, you want to address your next question?
Yeah, I'm just,
Mr. Kadir, excuse me.
about the letter that was sent out, I believe you said the attorneys and the city had put together. I'm curious to know why you all felt that so much detail had to be presented to the voters. It's, I just feel like it, for some voters, it may like, oh, wow, all I got was 2 things and all of a sudden I'm getting this barrage of information. Some people just may find more questions than answers, although it doesn't sound like it's happened yet. You haven't got, the FedEx package hasn't probably been received yet. You just sent it out on
But
Saturday.
many people have received their letters. We only got one call that somebody was offended by, like, why would I want to vote twice?
Yeah,
I know I can't vote twice, but only one,
Yeah.
and I just look at it like that a lot of times, that it's just one, I'm okay, you know what I mean?
yeah.
And I guess,
I'm just looking to see if you all have any thoughts on why, where you got the idea of so much detail per se. I don't know, I just felt you should say, hey, you got sent out 2 clerical mistakes, throw one away and send the other
Yeah,
without even talking about, oh, if you do it intentionally, it's a
yeah,
felony. I mean, it just
yeah.
creates anxiety more than anything else, but maybe y'all have a comment on that.
and I just have one other comment to add, which is a general comment, as far as procedure. What was the procedure of drafting this letter? If you don't mind me asking.
Yes, so I started off myself with like a basic 3rd grade level. I did, because I want to, and it kind of addresses your question. when you do things in government, to me, I've learned this, that the more information you give, a lot of times it just answers all the questions. Because when you just give a little, then they have a question, so you want to try to address it all. Because I didn't think we needed to have a bunch of phone calls, well, why did I get it, or what happened, so just get it all in one letter. And so I started off again, just third grade, simply, this is what happened, this is what happened.
Sure.
And then a little dose of law came in, so I sent it to the attorneys and said, hey, this is what I want to say to the voters, and then they put the law in there,
Okay.
and then management come in and PIO come in to give the other spice.
Sure.
So it just became a whole entree.
Yeah, and I guess, I think you know why I'm asking this question. I do appreciate the phone calls that we received somewhat prior, but in the future, I think the board should be included in those types of messaging. Is something so serious as this, or the potential to be serious? That's my ask, is rather than when it's all said and done. And I understand you did send it to us prior, but that was like 2 hours prior, so.
Well, we do understand the urgency, so it happens.
I get that, and just in the future, if we could be included in the messaging, because after all, we are the superintendent, so I think it would be helpful to, others may feel differently, but that's how I feel. Answer all your questions?
Yeah.
All right. I think we can, move on unless anyone has any other questions, comments, concerns. All right. Final item are announcements. Mr. Shirley, would you like to do us the honor?
Oh,
I'd be happy to.
Oh,
Man.
hold it.
Man. So there's a rule, one of the state election board rules that needs to be brought to the attention, that board needs to meet at 3:00, must meet at 3:00, on the day of certification. And I want to suggest that we meet at the city hall, if that's just my suggestion, recommendation. City hall, because we can bring all the paperwork there first. Because normally during a certification, we don't bring all of the paperwork, right? We usually bring the provisional ballots and the recaps and all. So rather than bringing all of that over here to be taken all the way back over to the office, I would like to suggest we do that at the city hall. And then have the final certification meeting here at 5:30.
We'll just drive over here.
Yes,
Oh,
just to get your feel on it and see if we can get.
Can you clarify the difference between the two certifications?
Mhm. So there's one certification where I present all of the paperwork. So I would present to you the recap sheets, have them available for you to review, and just kind of explain what they are. The poll pack recap, the ballot marking device recap, the scanner recap. I'll just explain all of those, and you can look at them, ask questions if you have them. And I'll do a preliminary provisional ballot report, pending that there aren't any registrate or provisionals that need to have ID, because the ID situation, somebody has to vote a provisional ballot and they haven't had their ID with them when they're voted, they have 72 hours. So there's that 5:00 time, right? So I would give you like a synopsis of that process, and if we have any that we're waiting on. And then, at 5:00, so the ballots for the UOCAVAs would have to come in, so we have to give that till 5:00. And then we could go through the entire certification after 5 p.m. and we'll do that over here. And over here, because this is where tabulation takes place, and, you can give reports and all that here.
My first question is for the attorneys. Have we reviewed this particular rule she's referencing, and has there been a guidance from the Secretary of State or an interpretation of this? That's all good, and
Yeah.
we're correct there.
I'm sure Charlotte would prefer to have one meeting
Mhm.
at 5:30, but yeah,
Okay.
that's correct.
Another question is parking for the board at the city hall, is that doable for?
We can, get you passes for the deck if you'd like.
Okay.
College Avenue deck would probably be the closest option.
Okay, yeah.
But we could park at the planning and then walk from there.
Sure, I'm just wanting it to be accessible for the board, so everyone can make it. Yeah, that's fine with me. Nobody else?
Let's be sure of the date and the time,
Friday,
make sure that we're all on the same page.
what is that, the
Friday, November
Eight.
8th.
Yep.
1:00 PM.
What time?
3?
3:00.
And that'll be, and we'll get the room numbers and stuff.
Does that have to be live streamed? Because that could be.
It's
an
a
issue.
legal requirement.
What room do you need?
If we meet upstairs in 302, it does have a pretty little owl we can use. Should you wish for live stream, we certainly can.
I like creepy.
No.
302,
We'll need to book the room, but yeah, that would be my recommendation.
is there, plenty of room for public, commenters and, okay,
It's about this size. We also have the option for the chambers, although that's a little bit of a odder situation. So what I'd recommend is that we shoot for 302, and if that's not possible, work on the chambers. Charlotte's team, how much you know?
okay, that works for me, everybody else good with that?
I mean, I won't make it a 3 PM meeting, but okay.
Right,
And
we
then we
understand
come
that.
back here at what time?
5:30.
5:30, you need it, right?
And so Charlotte, will there be votes needed at this 3 o'clock meeting? It's just like a big reveal.
The voting comes at 5:30.
She cuts a cake.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and read the announcements?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I have a question for the director and possibly the board, if you permit me.
Go ahead.
It's something I thought of earlier today. As per the SEB rule, right now, we don't have to do a hand count for the election day ballot. You know, just anticipating recount, hand count, and I don't know if is this really worth it. Would it be, what is the cost of going ahead and doing it anyway? 2 hours, 3 hours, more than that?
I don't think that would be wise. And that was something that, you know, Lisa and I kind of talked about it earlier, and I said, to me, it would be tampering. To somebody else, it might not be. Because, I mean, I hate to mention this, but I mean, when you welcome things in Coffee County, I'm just using it as an example, just, I don't know, it just seems tampering to me.
Well, the reason I came up with that thought was that hand recount would be done right there at each precinct. If there was a recount or requested much down the road, you'd have to go back and pull out all those ballots and do it there.
So-
Wouldn't that be a bigger
Well,
headache? That's.
first of all, that rule was referencing counting the number of ballots cast, not recounting the number of votes per
Right.
candidate. Those are two separate things.
Good point, though.
Okay, and then that point is,
Okay,
2020, they called for a hand recount.
yeah.
2022, non-presidential, what did they do?
In 2020, we did a full hand recount. We hand counted the presidential race on every single ballot.
Okay.
Since then, we've done batches. So they've sent us over a list of what batches to pull, and we've only audited those.
Did we audit Secretary of State in 2022? And it was statewide?
But when we did, it was only a batch audit. 2020 is the only full hand count audit that we've done.
And procedurally, when they ask for a hand recount, that's after the initial tabulation through all the systems and then the vote of this board to certify. And that hand recount for 2020, about how long did it take?
2.5 days.
So that's what I wanted to get at is, I think we've had some discussions internally to be prepared that the Secretary of State's office may ask for such a thing to prove that the system works. But to introduce it before the established process, to Charlotte's point, I think introduces a conversation about error in process and is likely to be redundant to what's going to be asked of us anyhow.
Oh, okay.
Last call. Announcements.
All right. The elections office downtown is not a polling location for this election. It is open for business and absentee ballots may be hand delivered there to office staff during business hours, but the absentee ballot drop box is located at the Linden House Arts Center, 211 Boyd Street. Monday, October 28th through Friday, November the 1st is the final week of advanced in-person voting. Full early voting dates, times, and locations can be found at accgov.com/advancedvoting. Tuesday, November the 5th is the last day to vote in person or to drop off absentee ballots for the November general election. 12 noon at a location to be determined. It is a special called meeting. Although, wait, I'm sorry, that's an error. We've changed our minds since then, right? That's gonna be in the public. So there is no special called meeting of the board on noon of election day. At 4:30 PM though, am I correct? There's a special called meeting of the board at 255 Lexington Avenue. Okay, Lexington Road, my bad, Lexington Road, right? And then Friday, November the 8th at 3 PM, City Hall, the special call meeting to review precinct returns. At 5 PM at 255 Lexington Road,
2:30.
thank you. 5:30 PM at 2555 Lexington Road is a special call meeting to certify the results of the November general election.
May I ask our secretary to just, since we are stating this online, just list all the advanced voting precincts, if you may, there's about 5 or 6 of them. Maybe.
We have Linden House, the Athens-Clarke County Tennis Center, we have Miriam Moore Community Center, the Athens-Clarke County Library, the Cooperative Extension, and today and tomorrow only, UGA Tate Center.
Thank
That's
you.
correct.
There we go. Chair entertains a motion to adjourn. Do a second?
Second.
Ms. Fambro, waiting on you.
Yeah.
All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
5:05.